Hey, Jared. Welcome to the Old Boys Podcast.
Hey, bud.
Not the
What's going
listeners,
on?
though. I'm going to welcome you first, and then the listeners. Listeners, now you are welcome to the Old Boys Podcast. I had to let Jared in first because he's a vampire.
Yeah. Actually, I was out here. You had the door closed, and you invited me in. So that's neat of you to do
Yes,
that and
yes.
get the podcast going.
Exactly. So, we like to look at Netflix films or any films in general, just analyze them a little bit, give them some nice social critiques, and then maybe shit on them a bit. But I don't know if we're going to do too much shitting today.
No. We watched the Polka King.
Yes.
This year, I believe it came out.
Well, last year.
I think it's a Netflix exclusive.
It is a Netflix
If that means
exclusive.
anything anymore. It stars Jack Black.
Jack Black.
And Jenny Slate, too, is in this.
Jenny
who I like a lot.
Slate.
Jason Schwartzman, who was great in this movie. And other people.
You're forgetting
may
the
know.
last one.
Who?
The
I
old
forget.
lady.
Jackie Weaver?
Jackie Weaver.
Why'd you say it like that? Jackie Weaver?
I've just been doing that for some reason.
Saying Jackie Weaver's name in a weird accent?
Yes, actually. Just
That's
exactly.
very specific. But before we get into that, I have a few movies I wanted to talk to you about.
Talk to me about them.
So I saw it's not a mockumentary. It's like a story about somebody's life, but it's a real person. What's that called?
A biopic?
A biopic.
Or a biopic? I think it's called a biopic.
A biopic.
I think it's a biopic.
It's called A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Oh, is that good?
Yes, I actually enjoyed it.
It's like what? David Wayne, right?
I forget the actual guy's name that it's based off of, but
Will Forte's in it, and
yes,
what
a
else is
lot
in it?
of
comedians.
big comedians now are in it, and they're all playing like famous people. But it's funny because Will Forte plays this guy who's supposed to be in high school, but he's in his like mid-30s, and they make fun of that too. Like there's a lot of in jokes of them making fun of like the narrator and everything else.
That's pretty fun.
And it's all about, if you don't know, the history of National Lampoon, the magazine, and how they founded it and how they went into like movies and everything else, and specifically about the writer and one of the co-founders of the magazine, and his slow descent into cocaine madness, basically. Because the first half of the movie is them making the magazine and the stresses of his relationship in the magazine, and that's really good and it's really funny. Then the second half is just
Balls to the wall
scary.
insanity.
Yeah, it's like this
the-
is just fucked up.
The boat ride from Willy Wonka.
Yeah, it's that for no. Well, it's not that bad. It was watchable. I watched it all the way to the end. I enjoyed it, but it just gets really fucked up because his life gets so terrible. It's hard to enjoy any of the funny moments in it after that. But,
Well, see, I like feeling terrible.
oh, you'll like this movie then.
Yes.
And the jokes, like I said, are solid. A lot of them are really good.
So it's safe to say it's a dark comedy in that aspect.
yeah. At least the second half is.
Well, I mean, I feel guilty like trying to categorize. Like the more you watch South Korean cinema, like New Korean cinema, there's never a dull moment. Like it goes through a wide range of emotions. Like you have comedy, you have drama, and it's all solid. It's all part of the same film. It's like they don't categorize into genres. It's like they aren't catering to the comedy genre. They're just like, this part of the film seems funny, so we're going to make it funny. I think we should take that and just apply it to everything. So I feel like saying something's a dark comedy is like unfair to it. In that
No more genres,
yeah,
man.
just like
Let's break through the boundaries.
Yeah, bro.
man.
Just seriously. You don't even know, bro.
But I want to tell you one joke from the movie that I liked a lot that sold me on it. So they are at a pitch meeting trying to pitch their magazine to these different publishers, so they can get money. And the guy who's doing the pitch, the main character, he keeps getting their names wrong. And the guys keep correcting him. So he's like, whatever, Steve. I'm like, you really got to do this deal. He's like, no, my name's Jeff. And he's like, they're talking back and forth. And he goes, well, what do you think, Joe? And he's like, my name's Frank. And he's like, let's all be Frank.
That is funny.
Oh, my God. I kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, let's all
I
be
heard
Frank.
a joke like that recently, like with that same kind of thing.
But yeah, Caddyshack, man. Lots of cocaine on Caddyshack.
Oh, I bet.
Apparently. They were all
I bet.
super fucked up.
I mean, think
during
about that movie
Caddyshack.
for a second. Out of all the National Lampoon movies, that one's the most insane, I think.
Yeah. And apparently that animatronic gopher thing was all forced on them by the producers. Like, they didn't want it in the movie at all. And they're like, this is going to be a huge hit. We got to put it in the movie. So we got this goofy puppet thing.
You know,
I don't know. Still funny. Still funny. Great movie. Other movie I watched, The Big Sick.
oh, is that good?
Yes. It's
Is
very
that as
funny.
good as
It's
it
probably...
says it is?
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite romantic comedies.
Really?
It's great. And I don't really like romantic comedy that much. I don't go out and seek it often. But this was very good. It was funny. Kumail Nanjiani. It's basically about him.
Yeah.
A younger version of him meeting a woman that's not in his family's set of traditions because they have arranged marriages in India or Pakistan, I believe. And yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It's about him, you know, trying to make it as a stand-up while dealing with this, and he meeting this girl and stuff. But everyone's very funny in it. It's great.
I mean, that's what you get whenever you have a lot of comedians acting together.
And Ray Romano plays his girlfriend's dad, and he does a really great job. It's like this really out-of-touch dad.
Well, I mean,
that just means well, but he's just...
I feel like it's not a
He's a
long
big dope.
shot for Ray Romano to act that way.
But he was wonderful in that movie.
I bet he
great.
is. Now, I can't help but notice that you once again tried to categorize this film into a romantic comedy. We need to stop that. That's a bad habit. Remember, we're trying this right now.
No.
So, is that the only other movie?
I think so. I thought I wrote something else down, but I guess we'll leave it at that for now. Those two movies. How about it?
Okay. Now, if you had to categorize, because I know you want to, the Polka King,
Here we go.
where would you categorize it?
A film. It's a light comedy. This is
A light comedy?
I would say
Like, as opposed
a light
to a
comedy
dark
biopic,
comedy?
I guess. I don't know. Well, because it's not like a laugh out loud. I don't know if the comedy is really the forefront of the movie. It's more interesting to learn about this guy.
So like light
and
as
what
in
he
like
does to these people.
I don't know. So you know, there's comedy and comedy light, like Miller Light.
Yes, exactly, like a Bud Light. This is the Bud Light of comedy. Cold.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it the Bud Light because I
Dark
don't really like
glass.
Bud Light that much.
Bud Light.
I'll go with Miller Light.
Nobody really does, but it's cheap as fuck.
Well, Miller Light's even cheaper.
Anywho.
Busch Light?
Yeah, first impressions. I thought this movie was pretty good. I liked it.
I enjoyed it, that's for sure.
It was pretty funny. There were some
funny things in it. I think Jack Black is phenomenal. Like, whenever you look at the trailer, you think that he's really just putting on a really big show and like he's doing a stupid accent, but he's like legitimately acting, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. He does a really good job.
I think this is the best work he's ever done in terms of being a serious actor. Like his attitude, it's like he's a very lighthearted dude, but there's so many moments in the film where it's like, you know, he's in his car just bawling. I'm like, holy shit, I believe this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the scenes at the end were just fucking fantastic. I don't even know if they were even going for it, but we'll get into that. Thank you.
Our
Thank
catchphrase.
you.
There we go. Can't be a show without that. I'm going to try not to say that. You are the only one person that has said it right now, and I'm going to be cognizant of it, and as soon as I say it, I'm going to slap myself in the face. Remember
Well,
that.
it's because we'll be talking, you know, like reminiscing about how we feel about the movie, and then I'll always think of the end.
Yeah.
And I'll want to talk about the end first, but that's not good.
What if
we
I
shouldn't
just
do that.
say-
It's confusing.
Right now, that from now
Sure.
on, saying we'll get into that is the equivalent of a taboo of saying the N-word.
Whoa. Jesus. All these new rules Dan wants to do.
This, I mean, it is time for a
That
change.
is extreme.
It is time for glory, and it is time for our comeuppance. And I feel like if we fix all of these
you
things...
want it to be that we'll get into that becomes a socially unacceptable.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Okay.
No, I'm saying it is that derogatory and taboo to where it makes your skin crawl every time you say it. Like cunt. Ugh.
Oh.
I hate that word.
Well, that's a fun word.
I hate that word. I haven't said... even then, like, I feel like there's a film over my tongue now. It's gross. I hate that word. It's so gross. It's the only word I don't say.
I don't like saying Klondike. Actually, that's a lie. I love saying Klondike. Klondike!
I get it because it
fun
sounds like
offensive.
a specific type of lesbian. You know.
Like a robotic lesbian.
Klondike.
I am a Klondike. Beep, boop, bleep, boop, dee, doot. Have we offended everyone? Hold on, let me finish.
First impressions for me, it was pretty good. It was a good feel good movie, I think.
Yeah,
it didn't offend me. I was on for the ride. I didn't want to stop watching. I wanted to see where it was going, especially because like the plot that you know from the trailer ends up happening within 20 minutes of the film. And you're like, okay, there's still like an hour and 20 minutes left. Where is this film going to go?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it was a pretty cool ride. I did like it.
Yes, and like I was saying, the performances were pretty fucking great too. I think Jason Schwartzman stole a lot of the scenes that he was in. I really enjoyed him. I thought he was funny.
He was funny, but I don't think he stole the show. I think Jack Black is just a powerhouse. Jenny Slate was really good too.
But yeah, everybody was really good.
Now, before we continue, this film has a clarity, a moment of clarity, if you will, in which, you know, I really pondered upon it. And out of context, we can interpret this quote in any way, shape, or form that we want to, okay? But this is a quote from the movie, and I feel like it adequately describes exactly our current economical, cultural, socio-economical dealings that we have right now in our country.
All right, I'm ready.
Jan Levin says, "I've got America out the wazoo." And I feel like, you know, in the context of the film, he was making a point of how positive he is for America, but I feel like having America out the wazoo out of context means a lot more than just that. Because it could be positive, but who said I wanted America in my wazoo?
Jesus Christ. What he was trying, I think what they were trying to allude at with the film is that the whole idea of if you say something, then you can make it happen.
And that's what America is. It's the American dream, for sure.
Yeah, like if you have that dream, go for that dream. But the way he pursues his dreams are shady.
Well, exactly. But then think about the way in which people pursue their dreams around here and think about how entitled they feel. So I feel like out of context, that quote fits our current predicament of just not even just presidency, just every fucking thing ever that happens that to break news that day is like, would you please just fucking stop for a second and focus on something else? Could you please fucking stop, please?
Could you please pass the carrots, please? We like to have fun here. So yeah, let's get into this movie.
So, Jan Levin is a dude who comes over from... Where was he from again?
I don't know.
Just talk. I'll look it up.
So Dan is angrily looking this up because it's the most important thing to him. Anywho,
it's relevant.
I guess so. So Jan Levin is a real person.
Polish.
And he did
Polish
do this
American.
Ponzi scheme
Jesus.
thing. Polish. Okay, that makes sense. He did become very famous in Pennsylvania, apparently.
Which is interesting because my relatives are from Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania has like a really big, you know, Eastern European population. Like that's a really big spot for Eastern European immigrants. So I just didn't realize that it was happening in like the late 1990s.
And a lot of the stuff in this movie seemed pretty accurate. It made me almost it did make me want to watch the
which is also
documentary,
on Netflix,
just to see how much they deviated from it. The real Jan Levin is out of prison right now.
At Sundance, where it premiered, I think it was Sundance, he and Jack Black performed the polka rap together after the screening.
And yes, the polka rap is
that
real
is the most insane fucking thing. Just the way it came about. Because so
bad.
whenever you're watching it, and then he raps at the end, but he does a polka rap because his friends in prison got him into hip-hop, and you're like, this is a stupid fairy tale ending. And then it cuts to...
It can't be real.
Him actually doing it. Real footage of him doing this poker rap, and I lost my fucking mind for about 5 minutes. I was in so much disbelief. I'm like, no, they doctored this footage. This is ridiculous.
Can I say also, too, it's kind of a relief that this movie was as good as it was, because, like I was telling you, I probably said this before on the podcast, but like how afraid I am to watch Jack Black movies now. Because sometimes when they're like these... like straight to DVD or whatever Netflix movies, like the D Train or some of these other films.
I didn't see the D Train.
That movie was fucking
bad. I like Bongwater. Have you seen Bongwater?
No, I haven't.
No, it's
Is that
an
a newer
older
movie?
indie film.
Okay.
He was in fucking...
I'm talking about his newer movies.
Orange County. I think Orange County is my favorite Black Jack movie. Ugh. Jack Black movie where he plays Colin Hanks' degenerate brother who does nothing but get high all day.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Such a good
pretty
film.
Good. So he starts off just already doing polka stuff.
Yeah.
He's performing for elderly people.
And if you don't like polka music, don't watch this.
Yeah, because there's extended polka music in this. That was probably the weakest part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Which I would consider this a musical. I really would.
No, because if somebody was going through a problem, like if he was like, oh no, I have all this debt, he would start singing about the debt. Like, I have a problem with debt.
But there's still extended
the
musical numbers. There's enough music in it to be like teetering the line between musical and not.
And they do a decent job of not lingering too long on that. Like, they don't make you sit like 6 minutes for a song.
Well, that's typically
like a minute or two.
Yeah, you're right. It's typically a regular musical.
So it was nice in that respect. But it was funny because like, they had an elderly woman who all their fans are old people. And she comes up and just starts talking with Jan Levin. And he just starts telling her his life story. It was like a very easy plot device. Of like, oh, why don't I just tell you everything about me? And let me just tell you how I met my wife. And I was like, that's a pretty, it's almost like they know what they're doing film wise, but it's just kind of, let's just get all this out of the way. It's kind of it's a necessary thing. That's interesting. Why don't we do it?
I guess I get that. Now that you've said it that way, I guess because I wasn't a fan of that at all, it kind of bothered me. And having it
seemed like they were aware
of what the very beginning is like really annoying. But then now that you've explained it that way, where it's like, we need to get this information out super quick to get this really interesting thing happening. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I did like the scene where it shows him at the telethon and he's meeting his wife for the first time, and she was in some beauty pageant. So she was one of the phone operators. So he's singing and he noticed her. And he's like going up to her and he hands her his phone number during the telethon. Like they're filming him. I'm like, that's pretty fucking great.
There's a lot of really
that's when I started
cool,
to like the
interesting
movie.
things of just him being caught on camera, just while he's thinking. He wants to be filmed, but he has no regard for being filmed. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that I like about, I think it was during the backstory where he's saying like he was coming from humble beginnings, and I think it's my favorite image of the film.
Yeah,
where it's just him and Jason Schwartzman just at a picnic, playing for little kids.
Oh yeah. It gets rough because apparently there's a great speech that Jason Schwartzman gives Jan Levin. What is Jason Schwartzman's character's name? Mickey Pizzazz.
Mickey Pissass.
Pissass. Mickey Pissass. It's Pizzazz, please. Please be respectful.
The way Jan Levin pronounces it.
Thank you.
Pissass. Mickey Pissass.
Well, he's confronting him about how they're not making any fucking money with the band, and he's going to have to go back to Radio Shack. And he feels like they're wasting their time with this because elderly people don't pay for tickets. They want everything for free. It was really funny. I think I'd want to play this actually.
Okay, all business books say have plan. I make 25-year plan. We start here at Salt Shaker. Now we are on napkin with good crowd. On our way to what? Parmesan cheese. We all get rich.
I still bring home chump change.
Mickey, I will work harder. I will find a way.
Nobody works harder than you, Jan. That's what's so sad. You know my Aunt Lois in Newcastle?
The one who wore the purple sweater?
Yes, she loves coming to see us play. Her and her friends, it's their favorite thing to do.
It's very nice.
So I say, come see us at Beer Fest. We're playing 2 sets. She says, is it free? I say, wait a second. You can't pay $3 to come see your nephew in your favorite band? She says, I don't like to pay. Maybe I'll pay $1. I say, wait, I drive 4 hours to get down there, play for 5 hours and 4 hours back home, and you can't pay $3?
You know what we do?
What about your friends, Lois? Are they as cheap as you, Lois? She doesn't even blink. She says, they'll pay $3 for a kielbasa, but the music should be free. This woman changed my diapers.
But yeah, I like that scene a lot. Jan Levon being a very positive, forward-thinking guy. He's like, hey, you know what? I'll make it happen. I said I would. I'm going to make it happen. This is going to be our careers. We're going to get famous. I have a plan. Let's do it. And then he kind of stumbles into people wanting to invest with him because I guess he's seen it in his country. So he's like, we've done this before. You invest in the company and then you...
Little did he know that in the 1920s, a man by the name of Charles Ponzi hatched a brilliant scheme in which he took investors' money for the promise that he would return their money, but how he returned the original investors' money was taking new investors' money to pay back the first investors.
But he did pay them back.
Wait, Yanni or Charles Ponzi? Jan Levon. Yeah. No, it said at the very end that Jan Levon's he's vowing to pay $4 million back.
Oh, you're right.
He still has not paid
You're
any
right.
of that money back.
Well, how do you get $4 million?
I don't know. He has a picture of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know, right?
Figure that one out.
You're right. I guess he did screw. What I was thinking of is the elderly couple they really focus on with him. I think he was paying them back.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I guess he did fuck a lot of people over. But yeah, Ponzi scheme crazy. So he starts getting embroiled in these elderly people investing in it. But then he's like, well, if I need to pay them back, he's going to try to give them 20% back, which is
it was originally 12, right? And even then, and it's pointed out by Jackie Weaver's character, Barb, that 12% is an insane amount because the banks only give you 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So later on in the film, whenever he's trying to just cover everything up, he's like, 20%. I need this money right now. And you can just turn it over to me and you'll get 20, which is just outlandish.
So out of control. Oh yeah. And, was it Jackie Weaver? Is the name of the, yeah, Barb. Oh. She's great in this movie too. She's hilarious.
I think she's my favorite character. It was one, I mean, I hated her. I wanted to hate her
because
I felt so bad for Jan Levon.
Well, she's a party pooper.
An insane, my God. Just,
realist.
No, not even realist. Just because realists don't get in your face. She's the only realist I've ever known that's just super aggressive in your face. It's you fucking suck. And you are sucking the life of everyone and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, because Jan and his wife and his son and everybody else, he's getting everyone embroiled in these big schemes and these big dreams. And she's the only one that's realistic.
Then think about it this way. This film is brilliant in the fact that she's so realistic and so abrasive with her realism that it kind of highlights the audacity that all these other characters have that they don't even really understand what they're doing. Jan is just happy-go-lucky. I'm trying to make money in America. His wife is, I have the best husband ever. Somebody actually picked me out and loved me and he supports me in everything I do. And then even then she gets oh, I'm tired of being your wife. I want to be my own person.
Second fiddle,
and he allows her to do that. He had the wherewithal to
the detriment of his entire company and everything he's built.
That was a really cool idea because that kind of showed you their relationship and how well that was. Then his son has no idea what's happening, and then later on in the film he becomes a more crucial aspect of it. Nicky Passas, he's just he's a follower. And he every once in a while he'll have the balls to stand up for himself, but in the end he's I really don't want to be around you. But
because it's the money, it's the money and the fame, and things are going well, so he doesn't want to question it.
Well, but then at the end too, it's he has this teetering. He wants to follow for the money and for just a role model, but then he's been disappointed twice, pretty hardcore disappointed. But he still ends up being a follower, which speaks to this really complex character. It's you got fucking rammed in the ass hard twice, but you still want to follow her.
Yeah. And Jan likes to please people and likes to help people too. So when people come to him, his bandmates,
but you see, what's weird is he's proactive. Normally, people who like to please people are not proactive at all. They'll just they're wishy-washy. But he is super proactive, and he has a plan for himself. and he incorporates people into those plans.
I feel like he's selfless too, to the point of
Yes.
it hurts him.
Yes.
Like he wants to help other people. He doesn't want to disappoint people. He doesn't want to hurt the people he's even investing the money from. Like he wants to pay them back eventually when he becomes super famous. And like later on in the film, he helps one of his bandmates. Their kid has a learning disability. He's like, I'll get your kid into this school to see this teacher because I care about you.
Yeah.
So they do paint him in a really good light. I don't know if that's really how this guy was.
I mean, they're probably doing him favors for sure.
They do really paint him in a very sympathetic light. But it helps the film because I'd rather care about the main character and like him than him being unlikable fucking jerk. Because, well, recently, so I've been watching Mr. Robot. I watched half of the first season, and I like the show a lot, but something interesting that my girlfriend was telling me is she found the main character to be kind of unlikable. Because he's a pretty shitty dude. I mean, at least at first. I don't know if he changes later. But I can agree that can affect how you feel about a show you're watching.
Well,
like if you don't like your main character, even if he's a bad guy.
It can a lot. Like,
he has to have some likable qualities. And I think Mr. Robot does.
Yeah, for Old Boy,
the main character, I mean.
Old Boy, like, Odesu is a fucking scumbag, but you're kind of in the dark with him, so you're rooting for him the entire time because you're part of the mystery. But Nightcrawler, Lou is one of the worst human people on this earth. Human people.
Yeah.
That's new.
He is the worst human people.
Yes,
You're right.
he is. And you still are able to sit your way through him.
I do sit my way through him, yes.
Where is my mind right now?
Where is my mind? Way out in the water, see it swimming. As opposed to the non-human people.
I think those non-human people are shining and happy.
Shiny happy people?
Yeah.
Yes. Not another word. So, he's doing the scheme. Oh, yeah, this is early on. So, one of his bigger schemes where he starts to elevate it and get really crazy with it is he starts doing vacation tours.
Mm-hmm.
Where he takes all his fans around with him, and he thinks, oh, I'll film this, too.
Yeah, this was 40 minutes in the movie.
I'll make videos of it.
So, you think this is a huge development, where it's like, this has got to be...
We're not even 30 minutes
This is the apex of his fucking Ponzi scheme. Like, you can't go higher than this at all.
Yeah.
And you're only 40 minutes of the fucking movie. You're like, what?
Yeah. We're not that far in. So he's got this idea to make multiple sources of revenue off this, but it's also all based on the big draw, which is to meet the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, obviously, there's no way he's going to be able to have all these people meet the Pope.
This is the most bananas thing.
And I guess it really happened because there's pictures of him with the Pope.
Yeah, that's the most insane part about it.
He fucking bribes the Pope.
He lied his way into getting to the Vatican with a bunch of people.
Presumably, he's done this several times, if you think about it. Because why would he just do one big trip? Like, he would probably keep doing it.
Yeah.
He's there with the intent of doing this, but has not scheduled anything. He's tried.
Mm-hmm.
But he's brought everyone there. Like, imagine how disappointed and pissed off everyone there would be. And he's so delusional. He's like, it's gonna work out. I'm gonna figure it out. And he hasn't told anyone else that's been working with him. So he takes Jason Schwartzman. They go into the back of the bus when no one's there. And he's just throwing money into a briefcase, like wads of cash. It's a lot of money, too. And he's like, what are you doing right now? He's like, we have to go bribe someone so everyone can go see the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time that Pizzazz actually sees him. Like that darker side of Jan, I guess. Yeah. Of him lying, of his compulsive lying.
Now, before they have this heart-to-heart that I'm sure you want to talk about.
Yeah.
This scene also plays up how naive Levon is. Like, super naive. Like, he knows what he's doing in terms of business. Is like, he has a childlike conception of how investments work, and that's why it turns into a Ponzi scheme, because he's only seen his family do it in Poland. He comes to America and starts to do it, and then he's starting to get into trouble. But in this scene where he puts all the wads of cash in the briefcase and goes to the Vatican, he's walking through the streets of Italy, or Rome, excuse me, and he's freaking out. He's like, "Don't let anybody see you, and you got to be my bodyguard," and things like that. It's like, what are you talking
Someone will
about?
kill us and take the money.
But nobody knows that he has money. He just knows that he's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how naive and like ridiculous he is. He's like,
it's pretty great.
It's wonderful.
And he just walks in. He's like, I'm gonna go up there and bribe them. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? He's like, you can't come with me. You're too sweaty. But they're both like drenched in sweat.
Oh, but Jason Schwartzman is
covered in sweat. That becomes a running joke.
As soon as the Pope comes out, he just swamp ass, instantly.
And the Pope won't touch him because he's touching everybody on the forehead. And he goes to Jason. And he's like,
and I don't know
you're
if
good.
You've worn a suit before, Jared, but I've never sweat through a suit, and I sweat profusely.
It would be difficult.
Super
difficult.
difficult.
It would be very difficult. But yeah, it's like little things like that are not like laugh out loud funny, but were funny.
Just thinking about them, yeah.
I don't know. Like that Pope thing was great. I liked it. But he actually gets the Pope to fucking come out, and the trip was great, and it's insane. So then after that, yes, Pizzazz does confront Jan, and this is where we get that scene Dan was talking about, where Big America up the wazoo.
Well, I just, out of context, like I said, that's a really adequate description of our country. But I think that this scene was fantastic in context. Probably one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Because he says, you say big things to make big things happen. Mm-hmm. Which, in a way, that kind of positive thinking is a good thing. But it can be very detrimental if you live in a weird delusion where it's like, I want to be space captain of the universe, it's like, I don't know, if your goals are so high up, you're not doing these baby steps, and he's cutting corners, and he's not thinking about other people's lives.
Now, what's interesting about the scene is he's about to lose Mickey. He's like, I just saw you, your true colors today. I don't want to be around you anymore. Like, you're hurting people. Just cut it out. And then he's like, he starts talking about, like, you can do anything if you set your mind to it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. Mine's silly. He's like, all right, tell me what it is. No, don't worry about it. He's like, no, seriously, just tell me what it is. He's like, well, I've always wanted a stage name. I think my name sucks. So that's where he gets...
This is so dumb.
It is, but it's so endearing because, you think that it's so complex here.
It's some unreachable, impossible thing, but he could give himself the stage name
now
at any time.
How does Levon treat this?
He treats it as like he's going to bless it on him through God.
Oh my God. Exactly. Now you would think that is a tactic to just for, one person to another naive person to get them back on your side.
Uh-huh.
So you can think of him being manipulative in that moment, but at the same time, everything he's done up to that point has been so naive itself where it's like, you can't think... I mean, manipulation is not the only thing that's going on there, if there is any manipulation at all. He's legitimately just doing something good for another human being in that moment, which is fucking insane.
Really?
I think it's both, honestly. I think it is manipulation, but at the same time, I think he wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a weird ego thing, too, because I feel like Jan, as a real person... If he was anything at all like he was in this film and did these things, did them,
super egotistic.
He could very easily become a cult leader.
Yeah.
He would be really, really good at it. I was watching a podcast, last podcast on the left I've been watching or listening to recently, and they were covering Jonestown and stuff, and just how like they would prey on old people, and they would get the old and like the sick or like the drug addicts, and they would get them to come to their congregation and basically save their lives. And it's like, well, you owe me your life, or like, I'm paying attention to you even though you're old or you feel like maybe your kids don't come to see you. I'll see you. Like, I'll be there for you. So it could have been a lot worse is what I'm saying.
Oh, it could have.
Could have ended in some Kool-Aid shit.
I don't want to say that I 100% know how it happens, but because I teach high school. And if
I
you
run a
are,
cult.
well, no, that's what I'm going to say. It's like, if you have them buy into your rapport and you develop a really good class-wide relationship, like nobody hates you and they all love coming to your class and you are telling them interesting philosophical things and they are eating that shit up. My class and I had a conversation about how I could be a cult leader, and I'm like, I already am one. But But it's so fucking weird how that feels too, because like I could say anything to them and they would have a hard time saying no, that's not right. And I've tested this before.
Kill this man.
No, I'm not that extreme.
Where is Spartacus?
Oh my god.
I'm Spartacus. Not you, Mickey Mouse. I don't know why I did that voice. Oh, it's me, Spartacus.
I can't do Donald.
Dude, side note, Kingdom Hearts 3. Are you into that?
I haven't watched the trailer yet. I was into it for,
I only played
those
1
2
and 2
years that they, that I thought was going to happen in between it.
Oh, yeah. And then it just, 10 years now. But, the new one looks so fucking good. Anyways, I'm going to play that game. It's going to be great.
I may get it, because I did like playing the 2 whenever I had them.
Oh, yeah. And you do not need to play the other ones. I don't think it fucking matters.
I don't think it matters either.
I'm hoping they just fill us in with all the nonsense bullshit.
In 5 minutes, and then a big middle finger at the end. It's like, ha, we took your money to fund this game.
Yeah, here's all the goofy shit we did in between that didn't really matter. Anywho, movies. What are they about? Let's see. Oh, so, okay. Right after this, they do a 5 years later title card thing where it's like, I couldn't believe he literally was getting away with this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to cut to 5 years later? Are you fucking kidding me? One thing we didn't cover is J.B. Smoove plays Ron Edwards. He's like the government detective. I don't even know if they really gave him a name in the movie.
Yeah, it was.
He's a really funny guy.
Oh, you mean like a title?
Yeah, I don't even think I ever said. I don't think anyone really said Ron.
There's one point in the movie where he's talking to the old people because they pull him aside and they're like, "We want to talk to you about our investment," and he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "So I'm venturing a guess you were talking to Black Ron Edwards." Really?
Yeah. God damn it. He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, never mind. But yeah, very early on in the film, before he even does the tours.
Yeah. Like whenever he first starts doing it and they count wind of it immediately.
Yeah. He gets confronted by a government worker and he says, "Listen, you can't do this. You have 3 days to give everyone your money back or you're going to jail." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll fix it. And I think he does return all the money, but then he just starts a new scheme.
Yeah.
So he just keeps doing it because this is the only way he knows. Because people want to invest more money into him. They're like, "Here's $50,000." He's like,
"Well, see,
okay."
I had a kind of weird thing. Like, I don't necessarily want to believe that he's 100% greedy. I want to say that he kind of stumbled into the Ponzi aspect of it, where it's like he said that you have to pay all this money back by 3 days from now, and he's like, "Oh shit, I don't want to go to jail, so I'm going to start taking more money to pay these people who I owe back." And just keep this next one under wraps because he's like, "Now you have to do this super secretly."
But I also feel like there is a lifestyle or a vision that he has of himself that he wants to fulfill, which is to be a superstar of poker. Okay. So I think it's both.
All the things to be a superstar of.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's good at it.
I know he's good at it.
I'm sure he was good at doing poker.
I think the delusional aspect of it is the fact that, this is 1998. And we're thinking Polka is going to take the United States by storm. This is after the grunge movement. This is going into 90s hip hop, early 2000s pop music, like Britney Spears and shit.
When you hear Polka, what do you think? Like, what's the first thing you think of?
Weird Al.
Yeah, exactly. Weird Al.
Who has already been doing this for since the late 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's not even really like a classical polka performer. I think he just has it in his music sometimes.
No, he's not a classical polka performer, but he's related. He has polka in his bloodline. Because he is of Eastern European descent.
Polka descent.
Polka descent. Of course. I am too, but I don't play the accordion.
Oh, so there's a weird scene when the stepmom goes into Jan's office and she sees all the filing cabinets that are chained up with giant lock pads. And I'm like, there's no way this really happened. But now, because of everything else was true, like when he gets stabbed, that was real. So I'm like, do you really think he chained up these filing cabinets?
They made it seem like it would have been real because
why else put it in there? Because it almost wasn't even played as a joke.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's a thing she found.
Yeah.
So she starts becoming suspicious of him and his dealings.
Well, she's been suspicious of him for a long time. She thought he was like dealing drugs or something.
Yeah. But what the shitty thing is that she's kind of very negative toward Jan always,
he's a
but
foreigner.
but now she's just suspicious of him because he really is doing something bad.
Mm-hmm.
But she ends up having an affair with Jan's partner, Pizzazz, which was pretty funny.
Pizzazz.
And I want to know if this is real. But they are in bed together at a hotel, and Mickey has a wife, apparently, at this time, and he's cheating on his wife with a grandma, basically.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then he like says it like he's proud of his new thing. He's like, see, Jan is the whole reason I'm here. It's like Nicky Schmutz or whatever his name is. He would never do this, but Nicky Pizzazz,
he would definitely cheat on his wife.
Like, ridiculous.
What the fuck?
But then think about like the implications of that. Is like, okay, are you really doing that because that's really the only thing? Like, you're adventurous enough to get a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some pizzazz you are.
Yeah, I don't know.
He plays the clarinet, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that.
Like a boss. Let me think. I feel like we're pretty close to the end because I'm reaching the end of my notes here.
Does something happen before he gets arrested? Yeah. They decide to go on tour. So multiple times he goes to the confession booth and he starts very vaguely outlining his sins. Uh-huh. And then the first time he's like, just say these prayers and then everything will be fine. The second time the preacher's like, hey, my aunt is investing all of her money in you. Does this have anything to do with that?
Yeah.
And then he just runs away.
That's fucked up. Yeah, he just runs away. And he really does feel bad about what he's doing. Why else would he go to confession? Like, he's trying to really get advice. Like, Catholic, he doesn't know because he can't talk to anyone else. He pretends like everything is okay with Marla, his wife, with everybody else. It's always everything's sunshine and rainbows, even when it's super bad. He hides it all from them.
Yeah. So the BB doesn't.
Yeah, so Jenny Slate, who is great in this movie too, she wants to step out of the shadow of Jan and be more than just the woman who is married to Jan Levon. And she's like, I want to do a beauty pageant again because I won that when I was younger. I want to do it again. So they have a huge argument, the family does, which was pretty good. I enjoyed that. And then after that, Jan is like, I'm going to fund it. Even if it puts me in the hole and hurts my, my band or whatever, I'm going to fund this. I'm going to get everyone behind it. And his idea is that, like, well, she'll become a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. We're a power celebrity couple. We'll get even more famous. Mm-hmm. So he gets all of his fans, which are elderly people, to show up to the event. He's filming it. He hires an acting coach, a personal trainer, all these things for her. And then they go, and she's doing pretty good. But then there's clearly somebody who's doing it better. Like, they're doing the show, and she's just knocking it out of the park. And then it just shows Jan get up. He's like, oh, I have to go do something real quick. And he leaves. And I'm like, is he bribing the judges? What the fuck? And he really does that. He rigs the event. His wife wins, and then they hastily leave because the judges are like, what the fuck is going on? We didn't vote for her. What's happening? And then they said at the end of the film it was a 5-year battle.
Yeah.
Before they finally made Marla give back the trophy.
Now, that, like, spells out a broken person. Because I think in between then, he was arrested, right?
Yes, he was arrested during that time. So she was doing this on her own time.
So she knew.
Yeah.
She fucking knew, and she was still refused to give it back. Yeah. She was holding onto it, even though she knew it was false.
Jan was in jail, and she was fighting this battle to keep... Even though Jan in the movie tells her that, I think he does. I forget. But yeah, it was fucking crazy. So, like, all these terrible things are happening. He's going on tour to raise more awareness of the show. He hasn't been able to pay his bandmates or anything, and they're pretty depressed. And he brought his son to play an instrument, and he was super excited about it. And he's giving them this big speech about, like, hey, everything's gonna work out great, and just stick with it, and everyone's gonna get raises or whatever. And they're all just kind of like, yeah, we're having a good time. And during that, the government has already figured out, FBI, or I don't know if it's FBI, but they figured out he's doing it again. And they're like, okay, we got to go.
Or just never stop doing it.
Yes. And it tactfully cuts away, and we just hear a car crash sound. We're like, okay. And then Jenny Slate picks up the phone and finds out that they've all been in an accident, which I guess probably really happened.
Mm-hmm.
And his son gets put into a coma. Yeah. And he's so distraught by it. He's like, this is because I did all these bad things and I scammed these people and I deserve all of this. And I just want to trade places with my son and I'd give anything for him to wake up. And then he goes out into the hall, finds out he's getting arrested. And then he runs back.
Yeah, you think he's
running away?
You think he's running away, but he runs into the hospital room where his son is.
Yeah.
And says, I'm repenting for my sins.
Yeah, I'm finally going to pay for what I've done. And he's like, then maybe my son can get better. And then he wakes up and he's like, see, look, everything's great. Like, I'm finally going to pay for all the bad things I've done. And God's going to be giving my son back. And it was kind of cute because everyone was yelling at him and telling him he's a piece of shit and stuff. And he's just smiling. He's like, yay, I get to go to jail.
I like that scene a lot.
He was so excited for it to finally be over.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was pretty great. Another powerful scene I liked was when he was with the elderly couple who wanted to invest with him. They do a lot of scenes with them together. And they're there to get their money back because after the whole scandal with the pageant, they're like, we want our money back. We know you're a scam artist. He's like, okay, well, I'll give you your money back and you're going to get a huge return on investment, but you could make more money. And he literally has, like, if he hands them the check and they try to cash it, they're not going to get any money.
Exactly.
It's going to be a failure. But he somehow talks them into
Because this is where the 20% comes back.
Yeah. And that was such a tense scene without, like, I don't know. There was a lot at stake, I guess. But, like, it was such a well-done scene with him and, like, him goading them and everything. I just thought it was really well performed. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's kind of the end.
No.
We just got the prison stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, because like the prison stuff has really cool stuff in there. So he's in prison, and he's in this cell with a homicidal maniac who has just gotten out of solitary confinement. And all he does all day is sing polka songs to himself. And this pisses off the guy who's his bunkmate. And he ends up getting shivved in the neck.
Yeah.
And
which really happened.
But then it cuts to it cuts to Jenny Slate. They're having a visit. And she's like, Mom sends her love. And she's like, oh, really, Barb? And she's like, yeah, she's kind of turned around. And then it cuts to what happened that week where the old people who he kept fucking ripping off from the get-go, they're like, we heard about what happened in prison. Too bad they didn't finish the job. And they all
like how they flipped on him so fast.
Jackie Weaver, Barb, she like flips out on them so hard. And she's like, yeah, he's an asshole, but you guys are idiots. And she just berates them for investing in an idiot.
Yeah.
And throws all of her groceries at them. Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah, that was a pretty great scene. I did enjoy it. How about that emotional scene near the end where Jenny Slate tells Jack Black that, that she's not going to be with him anymore.
Yeah.
That they're going to get a divorce. That was fucking intense.
Yeah, I liked it.
Or the scene where he finally gets out of prison.
And his son's
one of my
there.
favorite scenes. Yeah, it was son and everything else.
And Jason Schwartzman had like written him a hate letter whenever he first got into prison. And then he still shows up at the end.
Yeah.
And then he has like the best thing where he's like, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you all those years. And he's like, well, you're here now. And it's like, oh, that was...
Well, he says America's for second chances.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was when he was in the car and he was just looking out the window of the car with the wind blowing in his face. Mm-hmm. And how happy he was.
Yeah.
he's like, this is heaven, is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how bad prison is. God damn. Yeah, that was great. I love that. But yeah, that's basically the movie.
Well, I mean, if we think about it in the social context where we have that thing, America out the wazoo, and you can do anything in America.
It's the American dream.
Yeah, the American dream, but then doing something illegal in a very naive way that you don't understand to be illegal.
Well, it's like, how far will you go to fulfill your dream? And how
much are you willing to ignore?
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. And I feel like that is a lot, I feel like that speaks to our culture in one way or another. I didn't put too much thought into it, but it was a fun movie.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. I tried to be very open-minded about this movie.
Yeah, after you what we say? What kind of blocking did you do before?
I don't know.
We made up a word last week, but I don't remember.
I forget. We say a lot of dumb shit that I forget about immediately. But yeah, good job, Jack Black, and everyone else. You did a good job. Gold star.
So, you have a choice. They are all... One of them looks like it's going to be intense drama. One of them looks like it's going to be horror. One of them is definitely a horror. So, one from 2015, one of them is from 2017, and one of them is brand spanking new. I just saw it last night.
I think we should do a horror movie. I don't think we've done a horror movie in a bit.
And we are going to do the brand spanking new movie, Netflix exclusive, called The Ritual.
Oh! I saw a partial trailer for that, because you know how if you're sitting on Netflix, it'll just play it?
It was and that was the only trailer that just started playing. And I'm like, oh, this looks fucking good.
Yeah,
so,
they did a good job. They forced you to watch it, but I was interested.
Yes, we are going to force ourselves to watch it. Four friends with a long-standing but strained connection take a hiking trip to the Swedish wilderness from which they may never return.
Oh my god!
And a bunch of actors that you have never seen before. If you have never seen the trailer, just let Netflix play it for you and you'll be immediately intrigued.
Yeah, just first step, own Netflix. Second step, turn it on, and it'll play this fucking trailer for you immediately. Well, if right now, anyways. But yeah, this movie looked interesting, and I like it when it's unknowns. Another thing too, like with the Polka King, it looked like it got bad reviews, but then you go look at the reviews, and it's just nobody reviewed the movie.
Yeah,
I think it was like a 60 something on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was like out of like 6 reviews, and a lot of them were positive. So I don't know. Anyways, just some defense in that regard. But yes, I hope this was something, guys. Go watch Polka King if you just want a light, fun movie. And if you already watched it, well, all right. You know where to find us. Dan, you have the final word.
Jared, I think we have come to the logical conclusion that if you liken a certain phrase to a taboo concept,
it'll make you
that
uncomfortable.
certain phrase will never be uttered once more in your lifetime.
Hey, Dan.
What?
Cunt.